Hello and welcome back. Today we are continuing our Carthage into Spain run here, where we have pretty much established a global dominance here in the exploration age in terms of just the sheer volume of the map that we are currently working. We're on 14 settlements. Now, the people in the New World managed to settle 17 settlements total. So this means things are a little bit sparse for us, but we're working on coming up. In terms of our mementos for this age, we have gone with Lotus Bloom, leveraging the fact that we're producing a lot of gold to help us in the science and culture department, as well as wampum belt, which is giving +1 production per age for each settlement, for each person you are a suzerain of, and we are currently pushing those suzerainities and trying to get that. I think we have a 3 in right now. We will maybe get up to 5 or 6, which will represent a lot of construction and or gold. And so we are currently at a point where we have a lot of food, we have a lot of cities, we have a lot of production, we have a lot of gold, a lot of production off the Cothan unique district here. Not only the Cothan, but as we have entered this age, we are primarily pushing our everything in terms of the specialists into the Cothans, which I think kind of scale well at the start of the age and then are a little bit worse later on. And so we are getting more food in production. And so what we are going to maybe struggle with as we look forward to the legacies, and we thought about this a little bit, is that the economic path is going to be a little bit tough because we could not found as many cities as we would have liked. We're trying to make up the balance with trade. And then also not just quad golden aging, because I think that this is a fairly strong run that has the potential to do that, but for going for future tech and future civic. Future civic's going to be a little bit easier than future tech, and so I think what we're going to do now is we are going to beeline education and then the education mastery, and then come back in and get a lot of these useful masteries. And the reason being, of course, we want to unlock universities and put them down in all of our settlements that are turning into cities, which is quite a lot now at this point. We have spent quite a bit of gold in order to upgrade settlements to cities. We are starting to get all the ones in the mainlands coming through, and we are generating a lot of our gold through Casa through the Plaza unique district. It's not even the Casa Consoritorial, but it is through the Plaza here, +2 gold in settlements for every settlement in distant lands. This means that as we have, 5 to 10 of these, as we put down a settlement, that will immediately give us plus a big chunk of gold, 10 to 20 gold per turn. And so we definitely do want to settle in these distant lands and push the settlement cap. We have a wonder coming in that is going to help us to push the settlement cap, the El Escorial, which is going to drive up the settlement limit a little bit, and we're also going to be looking for that. As far as what we're doing with civics right now, we are pushing Reformation in order to go for, here, let's move it so you guys can see it, because my head's not in the way. We are going for being able to slot in rationalism and religious orders. We don't have the best civic slots in currently, and we are right now so far ahead on construction that I think that we can really afford to push out missionaries in a somewhat timely fashion, and we have begun to convert a lot of our cities, although now they are starting to get converted back. But we can see the great snakistry is spreading its wings, and by wings I mean slithering on the floor like a wingless bird, but we are spreading that across the land. We have it spread in several of our cities. We'll look to spread some more, and we will also be spreading it across the sea via establishing trade routes, which will help us with the treasure fleets, which we only have, I think, like 9 treasure fleet points in terms of stuff we've settled, so we definitely want to push that up. So let's Our espionage comes through on Ashoka. Unfortunately, we do not receive an entire tech, womp womp, but we do get a 4x return on our influence investment that we had put in, and we want to think about sending out another one of those, and it looks like Tubman is already upset with us, and we're getting enough from her so that going for one of these actions is going to maybe be reasonable. How are we running? We're already running one. What do you mean? We just finished running one. What do you mean? That is a little bit of an oddity. We were going to put it in with her because we just finished it with him. I don't know exactly how that's going. Maybe that's bugged. It does push us forward a little bit here. But also, there's an interesting thing here, which is she's producing boats because I think she wants to explore the new world, but she doesn't realize she's landlocked. If she ever decks us, these boats are going to get really, really scary really quickly. We have this city here in distant lands, and we're trying to push out and occupy as much terrain as we can in the middle of all these cities. So we're going to be a little bit aggressive about buying stuff and putting stuff in weird spots. Like, for example, here, we're going to build over this mine that we just got as our growth. We're not going to do that. We're going to buy it, and this will cost us a very small amount because we have so many gold resources. Now, we have an additional growth, and we can see what we can go and get. We see that we can come out 3 tiles, right? And so if we grab this niter, which is fine enough for us to work, we will secure this clay pit. We can also secure this farm tile. Not necessarily the best tile, but Kaifeng is probably going to go for it in the near future, considering they just started working this fishing thing, and they're growing in 6 turns. It's 8 turns to Jin Yang, and Jin Yang just needs to start working over towards this, so we're probably inclined to pick that up. We could also lock in a mining tile, knowing that these guys might be going for this, but Shiraz here would have to grab this, or actually they can just do it in 1 tile. They can grab and secure this tile. And so we either need to buy 2 things, 2 buildings, which is reasonable, this is something we can do, or we need to pick between securing this and securing this. We don't really have good things to purchase in terms of developing any sort of adjacency, and we have a really strong ability to construct a more temples really fast, because we do have that bonus from the suzerains. And so I think what we're going to do is we're going to lock in this clay pit, partially because we want to work the niter anyways, and the niter is good tile to work. And so in doing so, we do get to secure this, and we just concede that in 4 turns, maybe they take this tile from us, maybe they don't, and, well, is there anything we can put down there that's somewhat reasonable? I guess we could buy a temple if we were determined to. We could also buy this, but there's really not much in the way of adjacencies here. It would be a very, very weak bazaar. It would be a bazaar just for the purposes of grabbing this, because I do think that the happiness might even be worth more than the 3 gold, and so I don't think we want to go for that. We'll just risky to get the bisky. They are probably more likely to take the tea because it is a resource rather than push in over here. And we will, with our next growth, probably grab this mine, and in doing so, secure this mine. We do have to worry about this tile getting taken from us as well, but overall, despite settling in the middle of all this, we don't need an ambulance. They do. We do use a merchant to sneakily sneak through enemy territory so that we can grab some goodie huts. Not the best goodie hut. We don't need construction in Madrid. We'll go for the culture and the gold here, which incidentally will unlock this for us. So we will, I think, slot in the policy. I don't think we're going to be buying much on the rivers and this type of thing. We do want the production towards overbuilding, so I think for now, since we hurt with the science specifically, and we have synergies with the gold really, really hard, I think we will go for rationalism, and we will also start to go out of our way more to convert all of our cities. Now, there's a lot of things that give +1 to the amount of conversions you can do, so when our missionaries are down to having a 0 available, or they're down to their last conversion ability, what we're going to do is we're just going to send them over to here in the middle of the map and stockpile them for a bit, but they are going to be civilian units that we are looking to push out, especially out of Madrid, where we have built most of the useful things. We will also be following up here with missionaries. We also have resources slotted in to put to construct them faster here in the capital. So we are looking to float a slight bit of gold here, just as a practical matter, and not checking every single one of our settlements like every turn, and kind of waiting until we get a growth event in a former town, and then we are going to convert this to city. That way the growth event, we can go for a specialist with them. We are going to go for a specialist specifically in the place where we have our Kothin. We have a Casa Consistorial. I think we'll actually do... See, the Kothin, I really like actually how the way it transitions into later ages, because if we take a look here, +2 production on a specialist early on just feels really good. It lets you push out buildings really well, and I think it will end up being more than the Casa Consistorial adjacency in terms of its usefulness. It also gives you a little bit of food, so it replaces itself. We don't have a super abundance of food like you eventually get in the modern era with some of those really, really strong buildings, although we do have a solid amount of food, and we have pretty long time till our next growth event, so we're probably only growing 1 to 2 more times this age, so it's really not that big a deal. But still, we're going to push the Cothan adjacency here for the little bit of extra production alongside our stuff. And then now what we can do is we can work on this with our production, and we will continue to float a little bit of gold, and then we will get a growth event like, let's see here in Montoya. We want that growth to be a specialist, and so then we will upgrade this to a city. And so we are kind of peeling back the last few layers of non-cities in our homelands here. These two are non-cities, and I think in distant lands we've settled a couple, but we've already upgraded one to city. This is not yet a city. We want the growth rate. This is a city, and so you know, getting closer and closer to everything being a city, leveraging the huge amount of production we are now getting from getting more suzerains. Every single time we have one of these guys, they're going to give +2 production per age and settlements for each city-state you're a suzerain of. We are now up to 4. I think we have another 2 coming in here. And so this is going to be quite good, and we will get to pick our bonus for these gentlemen here. And so let's have a little bit of a thing. Now, I have been misled by someone. I've been told that the buildings are ageless, and I've been told that the buildings are not ageless, and so I'm not exactly sure what's the case. But the Kasbah unique improvement gives 1 culture, gold in science, and +3 combat strength on units on this tile. This is pretty good as a tile improvement, and I don't think that we are necessarily super looking to have a bit of a combat in the near future, and we have another one of these military guys coming in. So we're going to get the Kasbah and check for ourselves when we eventually get over to modern age whether or not they are able to be retained. The Kasbah cannot be built in this city, which is unfortunate, because we wanted to highlight a city in which it could be built. That is unfortunate, but we will continue to do things like pushing production. We see here that we could get +2 science out of all these, and so there must be some sort of strange adjacency going on, but I know what we really want to do. We really want to build over this grist mill. Food is kind of one of the weaker yields. This grist mill doesn't have any adjacency, or sorry, we want to build over the bath. The bath doesn't have any adjacencies, and also this is going to be really good for us on the production, and so we definitely want to overbuild it, especially in Maste, where we have been, generally speaking, struggling to be happy. The truth hurts. All right. We didn't read the requirements when we were picking it up, but we see here, must be built in desert. And so, and it is ageless. Wow, this is fantastic if it's ageless. Yeah, that's going to be really good. That done changes the game. I can't believe I believed someone when they told me that they weren't ageless. And now we feel really silly because that entirely changes what's good here, you know? We will really push these in all of our places that have desert. In fact, we'll go for this first because on a per yield basis, this is also very efficient here. It is costing way less construction for 3 yields, but also 3 yields in areas that we really like. We struggle with both the science, and we're not really struggling with culture, but the science is going to be something we're a little bit behind on. We're pushing it specifically with the rationalism civic, so that's one of the reasons why we don't look as far behind. But also gold, we have synergistic effects, right? We are getting gold multipliers in some spots. We have gold attributes already spent, and we are getting science and culture per gold income. And so this is going to be really good for us. Wherever we can build these, we will be plopping them down. And in fact, in Thene, we're probably going to intentionally brick a lot of grassland tiles so we can start working these mine tiles, right? And these mine tiles specifically will be able to put that improvement on. So that is a very, very nice development for us here. We take a bit of an opportunity to move around some resources, specifically putting the distant land bonus resources in Sevilla and Cartagena, which is going to allow us to grow these a little bit better. better and utilize our yields overall a little bit better. And so these cities will come up really quick. Looking at the level of food and production they have, it's quite nice. In fact, let's swap one of these around a little bit. We'll get a little bit more food down here in what is it, or up here in Sevilla, looking to swap some of their production out for food. That way they can grow a little bit faster because they are hurting a little bit more, relatively speaking, on the food, and we'll get the construction over here in Cartagena. And so this will be 4 turns to each of these treasure fleets. That's going to be a total of 6. I think we have a treasure fleet that we are getting from trade as well, and so we will be getting our first treasure fleet here pretty soon. We get a full steal off from Machiavelli. We don't have enough influence to renew anything though, because we spent it suzeraining the last person on the map we have to let to suzerain, which is Tondo. And unfortunately, Tondo is maybe under a little bit of threat. We thought that they were pretty chilled out, but we see this down here. We also have coming in one more city-state down here, but we are hoping to get them with our conquistador, who has the ability to suzerain someone immediately. We hope that this works the way that we hope that it works, and if this conquistador just gets clapped by units, that would be unfortunate. But looks like he can just walk in, steal the bag, and get this as our suz. Hernando de Soto. We will suz these guys immediately. This is very, very nice. We get the 125 culture anyways, and then we get to choose a city-state bonus. Now, the stone head, we now know, is pretty good. Social policy slot would be good for us right now, but we only have 1 turn until we're celebrating, so this is not too big a deal. We want 1 more slot. We don't really need more slots after this, and this gives +4 culture, +1 culture for every adjacent stone head. Must be placed on tiles with a natural happiness yield. More than happy to pick this up if it is indeed ageless. This really done changes the game. I can't believe I trusted the person who said that they weren't ageless, because if they're not ageless, we just haven't liked them just in a general sense, but if they are ageless, they are in fact quite strong. And so we will take a little bit of a look and see, can we build this in any of these places very quickly. We see the Kasbah we are building, in fact, and they need to have either, was it a positive happiness yield? We can see Stonehead can be built right here. So I think we prefer the Kasbah in general to the Stonehead. This is what's queued up, and it is what's being built here, mainly because I think we're kind of okay on the culture, and we want to push the science a little bit more, so we value the science a little bit more than the culture. So after slotting in religious orders, giving us plus 15% culture, and also entering a celebration, getting us plus 20% gold, we are absolutely flying up to 780 gold per turn and 365 culture. Now we are going to get a lot more aggressive about turning everything into a city rather than purchasing stuff in towns, although we can purchase stuff in towns pretty well. Every time we make a new thing, we are going to purchase a lot of buildings in the town because we have the extra purchasing ability, and so maybe we even want to think about that from the perspective of this town here in order to secure ourselves some resources. We have some really good adjacencies here, plus 3 resources on that one, and maybe that's why we didn't want to purchase as much, but purchasing here will be reasonable. The granary will be a reasonable building in the sense that it will produce food and have 0 upkeep, and also increase the kind of size of our thing. I don't think we're going to run out of squares in which we want to build, and so we're going to also lay down a brickyard here. We can produce kilns reasonably well, and we, I think, do have a bonus towards getting culture on them. We want to put them on a tile specifically that doesn't have very good adjacencies, and we see that we actually don't have a tile remaining that doesn't have at least, this has 3 coastal adjacencies, will be good for a gold building. This has a combination of coastal and coastal adjacencies and these adjacencies for resources. So I think that this might be the worst tile that we can do, so we'll put down the kiln there, and we will continue on with this. We'll make sure that every time we pass the turn, though, that we will have at least 1,000 gold. So if someplace grows and we want to turn them into a city in order to have that growth as a specialist, we can do so, and the specialists are going to help us to push up the gold in the culture because we're already so strong in the food and production. With the colonial colonialism civic, we will slot in colonial surplus and charters, giving us gold adjacencies. We have unique buildings giving these, and we are currently building guilds which have gold adjacency, and then also production on each production adjacency. We have the Cothan, which is giving this, and also we are starting to have a lot of shipyards, because everything is on the coast, everything can build a shipyard, and everything will be getting production adjacency. So really, really pushing up these two. Just a very, very solid base that we have here. A little bit of espionage action, it looks like. We see Isabella is stealing our government secrets. A big sad on that, kind of. Except for, there's this, we're a little bit thinking of going to war with Isabella. Now, we're trading with her right now. I think we're trading with this town, or city, and we're thinking of maybe going after Shiraz here, because if we take out Shiraz, Cartagena will be able to work the sugar at some point in the future, and that is a treasure fleet resource. And also, we are pretty squeezed, as it were. This feels really kind of tight and compacted, and we can't find good settles, and we definitely want to have as many overseas stuff as possible, or as many overseas settlements as possible, in order to make use of our quarter, giving us +2 gold per overseas thing that we have. Really nice to have unlocked education. The +1 specialist limit is important to acquire somewhat early. That way you can make sure that you do get the legacy path, because it requires you stacking multiple specialists in one spot in order to get that 40 yield up. We also have a couple of espionage actions. One, we stole some tech from Confucius. It costs a 160 Diplo, so we're getting a 3-to-1 return. It is not necessarily as big as we would like. Confucius is a little bit upset about that. And hey, turnabout's fair game. He was stealing stuff from us, but we are a little bit further ahead in that regard. And so I think what we do now here is we could go for architecture, and we could get menagerie. And to be fair, we are having some happiness problems, and we could even push just for really early urban planning. I actually do like hospital specifically, in terms of hitting a weird power spike where you get much faster growth rate, and that's maybe something to consider. But I think that we just want to go for the mastery here. +1 science on science buildings is going to be nice enough for us. My face does block it, but we will go in on that, and then I think we will go in on a couple of these other masteries. That way we are giving ourselves an opportunity to steal castles, metallurgy, and other things with our tech stealing. But I think we maybe even want to not fight Tubman. We could try and reconcile with her. I don't know if that's worth the things. And now we're kind of met with this decision making where, okay, this settle would be really nice if we are raising Confucius's cities right here in the middle of all this, and if we're not raising Confucius's cities, then it wouldn't be very nice. We have this settler coming in, and we're kind of at a little bit of an impasse where we have to decide what we're gonna do. You can see that, well, actually, it's also decent if we raise Isabella's cities. So maybe we settle here and we see which one of these guys wants to deck us, or they both want to deck us. The other option here, we're kind of sailing one at a time here, is that this would be a decent city. It will have 1, 2, 3, 6 resources, and we'll be able to bridge away over here in order to be able to have a few tiles for buildings. So it won't be a terrible city. It won't be the best city. But this is the more timely consideration, is do we settle in the middle of this scrum and look to just kind of effectively rumble with the two other powers here, because I think we'll piss them both off. We've gone for a trade agreement with Confucius to get a little bit more trade limit, but we don't necessarily have to keep with that. Breaking your trade agreements, that's the standard fare these days, and so I do think that this would allow us to get more treasure fleet stuff, and we specifically as Spain, not that we have to necessarily pursue it, but we specifically as Spain do have extra combat in overseas territories. I think, okay, there it is, +4 combat for all units in distant lands. This is pretty nice if we just decide to play nice with our continent and rumble with the other two. So maybe we look to have a bit of a farmer's market with Machiavelli. He's still kind of happy with us, and he will support it, and so this will allow our towns to grow a little bit faster. We don't have too many towns left, but we're just looking to kind of secure our rear, although Tubman will always be scary with all these boats here, so maybe we don't want to fight. We'll see how things shake out. We do get a narrative for Augustus gaining us an attribute point. I think that's what we're going to go for, because attribute points are good. And also, just wanted to draw attention to, our gold is fluctuating down. That's because we're upgrading stuff to cities. We only have one left on the continent to upgrade, and despite the fluctuating down, maintaining 500 is still quite nice here. We will be able to upgrade up here, and to be fair, upgrading towns to cities is a lot worse on Augustus because we can still buy stuff on the cheap, but we're only upgrading stuff once we've already kind of exhausted everything we want to buy in that given town. But I think what we are going to do is we are going to spend this attribute point. We are kind of coming through it, and we have a few options. 15% production towards constructing buildings and wonders with great work slots. This is a bit attractive. Culture and settlements for each resource assigned to them, though. That will be an enormous amount of culture, and it will lead into 10% culture for this. And so it is a little bit attractive to go for the construction, but we are already doing really well on production. We're going to go with this into this, and then maybe come back for this if we have the unlock ability there for ourselves. We also do have a social policy, a slot available. I think that we are going to look towards overproduction or overbuilding will be a kind of a good one. We are doing a lot of trade though, so getting a little bit of happiness and 50% food and happiness. We're having some happiness problems. This is why the police are coming. They're outside our door. And so that should help us out a little bit towards maintaining stuff. But I think we're about to upgrade our very last thing to a city here. So we will, actually, we'll take a little bit of a look. We will want to buy a stonecutter first. Just taking a look at where our stonecutter, it'll be good anywhere, but we want to specifically build on a tile that is not going to be a mining tile, that is also not going to have particularly good adjacencies. This seems like a good shout here for our ageless building. And then we will also want to buy catspas, stoneheads, and this type of stuff. So maybe we don't upgrade it this turn, but instead we look to put down on a variety of places some of these upgrades, and then in the subsequent turns upgrade this, or next turn or the turn after rather, and then it'll be every single place on this continent has been upgraded to a city, and every single cost that is in units is 1/4 the price in production. Now, to be fair, buying buildings is cheaper with Augustus. We have 50% towards buying buildings, and we also have 3 gold, so we have 110% to buying buildings. So it's a little like half off, but even then, the production still wins out because it'll take 4 times as much gold. With all these bonuses, it's a little over 100%, where it takes half as much gold, or sorry, twice as much gold as production. So we would rather have production. And the production will also suit our needs in that this city, it can't build, or it can only buy culture buildings, right? Because, and this is because we have Augustus, we can't buy any side of production. And so this is going to be one where we, in fact, we maybe just want to upgrade it and start getting into the production immediately. Let's upgrade it. I've convinced myself it is going to be more valuable, and we will go for the production here that we did not have available in the shipyard, and so that'll be good. I don't think there's a building this age where we specifically want that, but I think we'll probably want to port there. But the production there should be good for us, and then we'll be able to... Oh, did we just buy that? We just purchased that. Fair enough. We will be able to go for our unique district, followed by a bunch of other stuff here in Meleth, and also we will, in Meleth, shift over a whole bunch of production resources in order to get this off the ground a little bit faster here. So we get another Suz coming in. This is going to be +2 production in every single one of our cities and 2 gold in every one of our other places. I think we're going to go with... We either have a choice between the ranged and siege unit or for infantry and naval units. I think we'll go infantry and naval. We have a unique infantry unit, and I do think navies are going to be particularly strong and also good at responding. +3 combat strength against cavalry units, and has higher combat strength just in general. And I think that if we fight Tubman, we will want to recall our navy from over here in order to fight with Tubman. And the navy is going to be able to dynamically respond to our needs a little bit better, depending on how things kind of shake out. I think Tubman just doesn't deck us ever, though. The AI seems to not like decking if they seem to feel that they're a lot weaker. And so I think that we can avoid getting decked on here, even though Tubman would probably be able to take Maste back unless we had an enormous gold investment here. And so with that, we will have extra combat on our infantry as well as our navy if we were to fight anyone equal to the amount of Suzes we have, which is, I think, up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we have on the other side of the world 6, and about to be very, very soon here in just a few turns, 7 with Tondo in tow. And so +7 combat plus the 4 that we have overseas is going to mean that our infantry will do very, very well if we were to fight one of these guys, which we are, kind of putting ourselves in a position where it might be what ends up happening, considering the strategy we are taking with this settler settle coming on. About to pick up a strange banger of a town, but we do see that Confucius is, in fact, a little bit happy with us. So we're going to go with an alliance with Confucius. We will generate more gold, 10% gold per alliance in here, and this will lock us in on that attitude for a while, despite the fact that we're about to piss him off quite a lot by settling this. Incidentally, this will push us a little further in non-sufficient orbis and should give us a little bit more gold, because in the 10 towns that we have, or the 10 cities we have, most of them have completed our unique building by now, and so this should generate us around 20 more gold in those towns. Now, with that said, it's time to think about how are we going to expand this as much as possible. We want to secure some of these tiles if we can. That's going to be a little bit difficult without breaking this tile, which is a 2 resource adjacency, but we see that we're going to have another 2 resource adjacency here, a 2 resource adjacency here, and so maybe we don't care too much about that. We do think that we probably want to break this farm tile, and so let's start purchasing. We are going to be able to buy the cultural buildings as well. The cultural buildings for us don't have too good on the adjacencies, but maybe we build a science building over here and put a specialist building there and something like this, and so we'll go for a cultural building here, which will push out our ability to, utilize those yields eventually. And then we will go with a granary here, just trying to push out what we could go for. We see that this is just going to be a 1 resource adjacency, and we can lock this in if we want right now. And we probably would rather work clay pits than the other ones. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to try and secure the incense as well. We're going to check the growth rates of some of those nearby cities though. 29 turns, not growing anytime soon. 5 turns, growing soon. And this 8, growing soon. And so we do have to worry about those ones specifically with where we are putting down stuff. So let's put down a stonecutter right here, ageless building here, and then we will be beating them to the punch on the growth, especially when we slot in something. Now, one problem with this town is it's not going to be connected. Womp womp. And so we will have to conquer our way to the coast if we want to have a coast. And considering if we are going to be conquering our way to a coast, we're going to be going after this or this. Maybe we are just more concerned with securing our tiles from Confucius, so let's grab this. That way we will have some guaranteed tiles up in this direction from Confucius. We'll have 2 turns on growth, and I think we will be able to try and lock in the incense next turn, stealing it away from Pencheng, and by grabbing probably this tile just to also block Isabella, and then the 29 tile. This isn't growing anytime soon, and so we have a little bit more time with which to try and lock that out. But we have no adjacency to the coast, no way to connect to the coast at this point in time, and for our thinking, we are going to be doing multiple negative diplomatic actions from stealing stuff from Isabella, because she is the furthest ahead. So I figured that she would be the best person to rumble with if we were forced to rumble. And so since we're stealing with her, we ally with Confucius, throw in our lot with him, and then also slowing down Isabella will allow us to draw out the age a little bit to try and hit the quadruple golden plus a double future civic and tech. And so I think she's going to be the one that gets in our way the most at this point in time, just looking at the yields and basing it off of that. I mean, our ally might in Ashoka, but there's not as much we can do about him. He doesn't really have that many cities, though, so not necessarily super concerned. Also, we'll be able to have a go at this here with some of the units that we have already just had kind of protecting Constantinople, which is maybe a little bit of a leak, but we will have some combat available for us on our home continent against Isabella too. We unlock imperialism here, really kind of pushing that section of the tree. Was looking for getting the settlement limit, and then we have been pushing some of the tech masteries, kind of looking to get a little bit of extra yields. We got the happiness one, we got the science one, we got the production one on mines and clay pits, because we have a lot of those, and we have a lot of gold buildings. But now for the tech, we will start pushing for urban planning, and then for the civics here coming on in, we will probably take a little bit of a look back and start going for inspiration. We just know that we can get inspiration for free from a steal, but how close are we to a steal on her, and do we think that she's maybe one turn ahead? We're a little bit close on a steal, so we don't necessarily... It would be a shame to start researching this and then get it on a steal, and then be really sad. Maybe we could risk it. We could also go for this, look to get Forbidden City, this type of thing. I think that we're going to come in and we're going to go for, yeah, I guess we have to do this unless we want to, and go for sovereignty, and we just get this for free off of Isabella and push things forward a little bit. We also finish a city-state here, and so we do have a little bit of a choice. Our gold buildings can receive +1 gold for every city-state you're a suzerain of. We are suzerain of 7, and we have gold buildings that are, we have 2 unique gold buildings in addition to regular gold buildings. So this is a lot of flat gold, and I think it's so much flat gold that it's actually going to be worth more than the Spice Islands resource. So check this, 453. Let's see what happens when we confirm this in, and then we go into a menu. That's plus 400, and that's plus 400 gold, basically, which is quite a pretty number for us to be getting. Really going to be able to do a lot with that, especially we have no cities left, or sorry, no towns left virtually, and we're still being able to push that. That is going to be extremely strong. I think the towns that we have are Las Palmas, and also the newly founded, or we are about to found one here. We delayed it 1 turn, didn't want to go over the settlement limit, already having happiness problems. You know what they say, mo happiness, mo problems, and we are going to be able to buy a bunch of buildings in here, and then make sure we secure the T relatively quickly. So I think what we're going to go for is like a fishing key right here into buying this tile or getting this tile with our first growth, and then go for the T immediately afterwards, and then look to scoop up all the resources around us here in Toledo. And so this will be reasonably strong, you know, really scraping the bottom of the barrel though. After that, for a reasonable settle, I think the next best settles maybe this, just for the treasure fleet mainly, or like up here is maybe a little bit better, but there's like no places where the like stuff connects really well. Here is going to be the best place in terms of yields, and so this might be the next settle in terms of what we can get, and we can maybe make a little bit of a pivot here actually and go towards settling that. This will give us +1 settlement limit, and we can buy out of Rusicade and lock in kind of the last good settle or reasonable settle, I think, on this age in this map, and then the rest of the stuff we'll have to get through conquest. Incidentally, we do want to start trading with these guys, and so we're going to buy a trader as well. We've been buying some merchants, some missionaries, some traders, these types of things pretty aggressively, with the idea that, are we already trading with them? We'll move the guy over there and see if we're already trading with them, but if we're already trading with them, we'll maybe need to make a little bit of an adjustment. It might be worth trading with Tubman, considering I don't actually think she decks us, and so we can get some resources off of her, but we do want to come on over and make sure that we're trading with them so that we are getting treasure fleet resources off. We are pushing the golden age for science very, very quickly. Now that we have the extra limit, we are up to a 3 out of 5 on a yield of 40, and so we might actually intentionally pull back a little bit, trying not to complete this ahead of time, because we do need more time to cook with the treasure fleets specifically. We can get the culture one very, very quickly just by converting city-states, and we are going to be building a lot of out of the capital various one-turn missionaries, which is going to be really good. They are getting produced very quickly because per our resource allocation, we have a lot of incense in the capital as well as truffles, and so the two of these combined are going to make it so that we get to produce these very quickly. Also a huge amount of production courtesy of +1 production in the capital per town, or at least it was for a while. Now we only have two towns, so we're only getting 4 production off of this now that we have kind of converted everything over. But the flip side is Wampum Belt. Wampum Belt is giving us +1 production per age. That's 2 per age, or 2 in total from this age. And settlements for each city-state you're suzerain of. We're we're suz of 14, or sorry, 7. So that's 14 production in every single city. And so all of the yields, you see that, okay, the gold may not be like reaching up to the sky, but science and culture are catching up so quick, and it's because we are producing all of the buildings so fast in all of our cities, of which everything is a city. We also decided to go for a little bit more of a conservative approach on our buys, getting out to the coast this way. That way we wouldn't be landlocked if we somehow lost military access with Ashoka, and then we will just kind of go this way. We're growing fast enough that we can play it like this. Getting it 1 turn faster is not going to be the end of the world, and so that will be in for us getting Toledo up and going to get 1 treasure fleet, and then Toledo will be an okay city. We'll have, you know, some tiles to work that'll be decent. It'll be a little bit food heavy, but it'll be fine enough. We are going to pile on negative things on Isabella. We're going to hinder her civic study, hinder her agriculture. It doesn't really matter where exactly. Actually, we have an exact idea of where we want to hinder the agriculture. It's in this city that's growing right here, Al Awaz. So we will hinder our agriculture, or her agriculture right there. The idea is we're trying to get her to deck on us rather than us on her. So we will get Confucius, who is allied with her. We will get Confucius to get pulled in against her, and so that will help out on this continent. We've started by units here as well. We just are running away with the gold amount, and so this isn't really that much of a cost at this point, considering we can't really buy that many buildings because we are just constructing them all. And so we are going to start sinking our gold as best we can into getting further advantages, and one of the ways in which we can gain an advantage is to push back the next strongest person, although Ashoka is also relatively strong, and so maybe we want to be playing against him, but currently we are benefiting from him being our ally, and we have several trade routes with him, so maybe this is more of a next age type of consideration. These are isolated resources, so we can't slot them in, but things are going very swimmingly. We'll probably upgrade Toledo to a city soon so we can slot more stuff into it and begin to get additional resources, and we've also started to get this town up and going, and it should be pretty good. But the amount of gold that we're getting is absolutely insane off the back of us having 4 gold buildings at this point in time, and each one of these gold buildings that is available gives us +7 gold relative to what they normally do because of our suzerainty. We are also pushing in urban planning our ability to go for a bank, and with a bank that will be 5 buildings and also a hospital here, but mainly the bank, and so we will push at it, and after that I think that we don't go for a single mastery. I think we just go castles to future tech as best we can to try and lock that in, and the progress on the civics is actually a little bit worse. We feel a little bit further from getting future civic, although maybe this isn't the case, but things are kind of like coming down to the wire a little bit. Even though we're only on 46% progress, the relics will be really easy to get. The thing is that we have a few ships in motion. We only have 9 of the things, so we have to try and pump the brakes a little bit on us pushing the age forward in terms of accomplishing military, science, and cultural victory. And if we take a look in here, we can see how many treasure fleets we are getting, and it is a 9 and then 10, and that's kind of it. And so it's going to, with the amount that we need to get up to, we need to get up to 40. It is difficult for us to push, and we would really like to get that golden age so that we can keep all of our cities, which is every single one of these places. We want to be able to keep a city. So we are about to upgrade this to a city, so we will slap down a couple of buildings because we do have the decreased buy cost when we are buying in a town specifically, and then we'll convert it to city here. And what we're going to be doing with this is we are going to, in buildings or places that are relatively new, like a lot of our overseas buildings, we're going to be going for a hospital because it's a lot of food and it's a lot of growth rate. But since it falls off in the modern age, like really hard, and we actively don't want it in the modern age, what we're going to do is we're going to prefer to build it over top an ageless building, so that we can grind over it in the next age with an ageless building like the grocer. And then also we are going to be looking to just purchase it. So we're not going to use our construction towards it next turn. We're just going to purchase this. We're going to put down a shipyard that will scale fairly well into the subsequent ages here. But we are just pushing the hospitals in places such as Toledo, Las Palmas, Cartagena, and Cadiz, because these guys can get relatively quick growth events still. If you see, the amount of time that they have on their growth is pretty quick, and so this will accelerate that process quite a lot. Also over here in this newly founded city, this is going to be a place where we want one. We're going to want one here. But if you take a look kind of more over in the other areas, we have 25 turns, 12 turns. To be fair, this one's growing relatively quickly, 14 turns. These places are going to have maybe one more growth event, maybe two, and then they're just kind of done. And the hospital's not going to make a difference in that regard. It's just going to accelerate it slightly and then be a bad building next age. So for these buildings or for these cities, we are specifically avoiding the hospital. Now, as a matter of kind of checking in on the progress, economic progress is the one we're watching the closest. We're at 15 fleets. We can complete the science one at any point in time. We are pretty close to getting the non-sufficient orbis, but specifically, we will be able to convert or put a lot of missionaries in place to convert to be able to finish this anytime we want. Same thing goes for this. And so the other thing, or like the only thing, is just trying to slow everything down now, so that we can get enough treasure fleets. We're going to pretty soon put in our social policy for treasure fleet speed, which will help out a little bit. And we do see the ways in which other people are pushing the ages. Specifically, Isabella is pushing relics, and so she is going to be a little bit annoying. I'm not sure if we want to deck her. We've been accumulating some units, not a tremendous amount. We have a fleet here of 3 Carracks. They're fully upgraded. We maybe want to get all our units kind of fully upgraded before we take a little bit of a rumble. We can go after Jin Yang, maybe conquer it. We can go after Shiraz, raise it, these types of things, but I'm not exactly sure if this is super worth it. It probably is, and so the thing is we will have to fight Confucius too if we do this. And we kind of like Confucius. We're kind of pals with Confucius, and it's the dual allyship. I'm pretty sure it goes to the defender in a time when 2 allies are fighting. So we've also lost our ally in Ashoka, which is a little bit unfortunate, but also maybe we want to fight Ashoka because Ashoka is doing pretty good in terms of his yields, and so he is one that we have to keep an eye on in terms of what he's pulling down. So for the most part, our relations with everyone are decaying very significantly because everyone is espionaging us, and for whatever reason, it seems that our espionage is bugged because we're at 22 out of 15 turns on both of the things that we sent on over to Isabella. So that is a bit unfortunate, but despite that, with over 600 a turn, things are cruising pretty nicely here, except for the treasure fleets. They're not cruising at all. I think we are getting squeezed by the timer a little bit, and we wanted to accumulate a little bit more forces before we decked on Isabella, because we're going to have to fight Confucius too, but we are going to go and declare ourselves a formal war. There'll be a little bit of support, expecting Confucius to side against us. We have gold, so we are going to be really aggressively purchasing units. We are going to be advancing in on trying to take Shiraz, because Shiraz does have a whole bunch of the resources that we desperately need. We're just here for the resources. Please don't make it a moral argument. We are just going to kind of swoop in and take as much as we can. We're going to keep the cavalry on the flanks, just looking to keep them safe from, any kind of raiding or this type of thing. and just get all these guys in on them. We also have these guys, but they do have to wait until they move, and we are going to be coming in here. I'm not sure if we raise this city to the left to make room for Las Palmas to be good. I think that's what we do, and so let's kind of just march forward and then march these guys into positions. We're going to buy some units out of both of these cities. I think that we're just generally going to be buying the Trebuchet, you know, Terraso combo and let our military unit do the work. We unfortunately, I think, do not have a social policy in for combat overseas areas, and so this is what we want, and so we will be slotting that in at our next opportunity here. In fact, why don't we take a look at the tree and see if is there something we can just bink in one turn? No, there's not anything that we can just bink in one turn, so I think we're going to continue. Well, no, we're going to make sure that we get that, I think. Actually, gold towards purchasing military units is kind of something we're into right now, and so we will be going for this. We'll yoink a little bit of a trade route here, and we will raise these guys. We will look to raise these guys. We will capture this. Not sure how we'll handle this. I guess maybe capture, but just trying to get a little bit more trade limit here, expecting to see Confucius side against us. But if he doesn't, this would be fantastic. We almost certainly should have declared war earlier. Before we get started on any of the battles, we will support ourselves 3 times here. I think that should be a pretty solid amount. I don't think she's going to be able to add too much to this, and then the fleets will come in and start raking havoc all over these guys here. We're gonna keep... Ooh. That's a good one, isn't it? I wonder if she got that on our capital, right? That's Vasset. It looks like she probably did get that on our capital, which of course is fantastic for her. That is... it's a decent amount of bombardment. We're going to take a little bit of a go at those guys. And coming in here, we should be able to one-tap this city pretty quick and just grab it. There's not too much defense. We have 2 siege units, and so we will just move these guys in and get a nice little defensive balance here. I don't think that they have any more movement, so we're not going to be able to shoot this turn, but following up, we are going to crash through here. And, you know, Confucius not going against us is really, really nice. So this is something. We are just close to one-shotting districts here. Let's just take a look. Do we take this over? Yeah, we do take this over pretty handily. So we're going to push forward, make space for our siege units, and start bombarding them here. And so this should be pretty quick. We'll make space. We don't have enough surface area here. We could come here. They are going to have to cross a river to get to us, and so I think coming here looks pretty good to us here. We do have a terror show coming in. We're going to avoid spending, and then we're going to slot in both the cheaper spending on the purchasing units as well as navy. I think a little bit of bad sequencing there. Should have had the admiral on top of them there. But we are also going to just, you know, continue developing as best we can. It doesn't really, I mean, look, we're going to future tech and future civic here pretty handily, I think. And so the only question is do we manage to find ourselves enough of these, like, this has been the question the entire age, right? Do we get enough treasure fleets? And, it's not looking so good, but if we could slow down Isabella, I think she's the one who's kind of, other than us, she's the other one pushing kind of the age the age accomplishment here. And we're still on, I think last time we checked in, we were on 15, we're on 19 now. We need effectively more than 2 waves full of shipments, and so we're a little bit way off of that because, oh, we only need 30. I thought we needed 40. Okay. We might be able to do this. We might be able to pull off the perfect age, and then also set ourselves up really nicely by taking out Isabella, or taking it down a few pegs. With a treasure fleet activation, we do push things onto 70%, and we are on the crisis. The world is contracted, new shipping lanes bring goods once unknown to markets, and along with them, a desire for more. We have the rise of the petite bourgeoisie, or just the bourgeoisie, rather, as it were. Plus gold for maintenance units, that's not too big a deal. well, plus gold, minus gold per relic. I think this is going to be the better one for us. Hey, just kidding. Minus 50% golden towns. We don't have any of those, so that will be just fine for us. Oh man, this isn't good. I don't know how we got this, because we didn't slot in anything, but we golden age science. That is not good at all. That must have been a building completing, pushing it up over 40, despite only having one specialist, or maybe there were 2 specialists but just no adjacencies to be had. That's not ideal. That is not ideal. So we will use these trebuchets to kind of clear out. Oh no, wait, those guys aren't fighting us. Oh man, I just realized, just like brain dead here, China is actually helping us out, which is perfect, of course. We are going to be pushing in a lot of different spots here simultaneously. Time is of the essence. We're going to be... can we treb down with this guy? I think we just don't... I think we just... Well, no, let's not ignore this. Let's come here. Let's do this. Let's get this guy out of here. Let's get this guy to take out that guy. And then I think we still want to move and shoot with this guy, and he can finish off the river guy. So this is going to be a slow little push here. But here we should have the city in Shiraz. And we maybe get a treasure fleet out of this in some sort of timely fashion. I kind of suspect that it might be a little bit too late, but we will, at the very least, acquire treasure fleet potential, and incidentally push up the amount of gold per turn we're getting, because we now have an additional settlement in overseas territory. We do want to eventually get up to this tile. It's going to be several turns before we can purchase in here. We're going to keep the settlement, I think. We can't even choose to raise the settlement? Wait, that's wild. Why can't we choose to raise it? Interesting. But these guys, we got the bombard upgrade on our ships. This guy will heal up. Not for that. Can we heal up for food? So let's get onto a fishing boat and heal him. Let's move this guy on over. I think we're going to be trying to bombard here, just generally speaking. But this guy is going to raid and heal up a little bit. And then we have a plus bombard strength here. We're going to look to take this city out over the long term here, and also take out some of these units. But we will have these guys coming in. We'll raise the city, and we probably won't have the time to get to the tea immediately, but over the long term, the Shiraz will acquire some tea here as well. But we're up at 80%. Things are getting pushed along. We are just a little bit shy of future Civic, and the real problem is that I don't think we have enough of these treasure fleets in motion. They do move a little bit faster. We do get a treasure fleet spawn this turn, but it's going to be for these guys 7 turns. So 7 turns is probably what we need to last around that, in terms of us also having already some in motion. We have another treasure fleet here, and so that's going to be another 6, and we're currently on 22, so that's going to be 1 shy. This is a 3. This is a 3. This is a 1. We're going to be 1 shy. Do we have a spawn soon? Or are we missing a treasure fleet that's currently in motion? I don't think we're missing one in motion. So we either have to last another 7 turns without ending the age, or we are out of luck here. Because we're just going to be 1 shy. God, that's so painful. We started the war just a little bit earlier. Cadiz has 1 turn until they come in, though. So Cadiz, 1 turn, and then we're going to be able to move over to them a little bit. I think that Ashoka we want to try and get better relations with. So we're going to kind of throw the barrel at some of this to try and improve relations with him. Or actually, we just wanted to open borders. We should have just done that so that we can get a slightly faster treasure fleet route through here. Hopefully it makes a difference. Push is coming through. He's got some, or she's got some defenses here, but it's just not enough. The Mamelukes are a very strong unit, but we have some pretty stacked up combat bonuses. You know, if we take a look at our infantry and what we get in terms of combat bonuses, we will see that we're 76 up against 63, which gives us pretty good fare. But if he gets around our territorial infantry, he can make a short work of our backline and just one-shot a lot of our siege, so we do have to be a little bit careful in that regard and try and, you know, push things up a little bit slowly. Not too much defensive cover left here. Something that we do have to be concerned about is the speed and pace at which we take the stuff. We don't want to take stuff too fast, because if we take it too fast, we are not going to be able to, or this will force the end of the age, unfortunately. We're maybe going to try and get a cheeky settle down here, because this would be better, and raise Zabid to the ground. But the thing we do have to watch is we have to not take too many settlements. We have basically one settlement we can take, and then the rest we have to raise to the ground, something like this, or just raise them all to the ground. And so what we'll do is we'll be on the verge of taking 4 to 5 cities, something like this, or we could just go for broke and just like raise everything. I'm not sure exactly which one's better. We're keeping an eye on 82% progress. This does mean we're pretty close to the end of the age though, and so it's going to be, we really want to draw it out just like a little bit longer to give time for one more treasure fleet to spawn. And to be fair, Sevilla actually only takes 1 turn to get across the sea. So maybe we can get this, because Sevilla, we just have to draw this out another 5, or actually I think 6 turns exactly, and we will be able to get it all. We might have miscounted. It looks like this is the little treasure fleet that they will next turn be able to make us a golden economic. And so what we are looking at is a 2-turn window where we are going to be finishing future Civic in 2 turns. Future tech is already locked up. We moved off of it so that we wouldn't finish it earlier and end the age immediately. And we also have in this 2 turns the ability to peace out Isabella, which is fantastic because we might be able to trade captured cities in order to go for this. Now I think that we might need to capture 1 more city. For all of these other ones, we're going to show as we get the rest of these objectives in order to golden age all of them. But we are just going to try and not really care about our units at all and focus on trying to take as many cities as we can at the very end here. We're going to barrage these guys down. We don't care if we lose the unit. Of course, we don't actually want to take the city this turn or next turn, but rather the turn after. It's looking pretty good for taking that. I think we're going to be able to take this, and we have already taken this. We're not going to have time to raise this and make settle a city, unfortunately. And this settler is going to be useless, as is this conquistador that lets us settle, or gives us a free settle, but that'll be well and fine. It's pretty much the end of the road here, and we will also be trying to find a way to spend down to 3k gold, because you can only take 3k with you, and actually you can only take a 500 influence with you, as far as I could tell. It might scale with age, and so we will add a little bit of support to ourselves, knowing that you know, we will not be able to take that much Diplo with us or that much gold with us, but we are hitting the end. We have the critical turn for ourselves here, where we will get 3 golden ages in this singular turn. So we will also get 2 future techs and / civics, and so let's get in on it. First of all, we'll be able to take this city, getting non-sufficient orbis. We don't really have enough juice. We're just shy of enough juice, I think, to be able to take this city. If we unload here, we can bombard. We can take this place, I think, off to the left here, but it's not going to quite be enough for us to... Yeah, we're going to have to attack twice, and then we're going to be able to get that and that, but we're not going to be able to get all of this in here. Can you pew pew? And then the problem being here that we will not have enough juice to be able to take this out as well. Just a little bit shy, but that's okay. We can peace out also not with Tubman. We're not at war with Tubman. We can peace out with Isabella this turn as well, and we can look to get something like Wasset or a little bit more. We will see what we can get off of her in just a moment. Let's get the rest of the golden ages in. We have coming in here economic to go as well as culture to go. And it looks like we're so far ahead in culture. How are we ever going to get what we need on the culture? Well, here's our economic golden age here. And then for the culture, we have, taking a look at our religion, +2 relics every time we convert a city-state. We haven't been actively trying to push this because by leaving it undercooked, we give ourselves more time to get the economic golden age / legacy progress here. But we have had missionaries just sitting over here on each of these guys, just ready to convert them for the first time to give ourselves some relics. We are not getting some yields, but overall I think the ability to push back the timing of the age so that we can hit a better timer is just a little bit better, and so this is going to be good for us. That's our golden age here. We now have 4 golden ages, and the only thing left to do is negotiate as good a peace as possible with Isabella, who incidentally, you know, we have 34 out of 15 turns on our espionage on. Hey, shout out to the espionage bricking, but us being able to get through it anyways. So I'm thinking that we go after Waset, and then secondarily we would want Jin Yang, and then after that we are not really that interested in maintaining Hamdan or maintaining Zabid really, so we could give those back if we want, and so let's see if we can get something like that. So Waset, and we want Jin Yang as well. She will reject that deal, but can we give her, can we return? Oh wait, I think we have one more settlement to take actually of hers. Yep, it's this one. We did that in bad order. We might not be, we might just be just shy of enough damage to get it done. Rip the dream. Big tragedy. So that will be staying, but I think we're raising this. Did we already, we need to say whether or not we're raising it. I think that we have so much to click through. We'll do that. None of this matters. We will do not a narrative choice. The exploration age is ending. Grow city command unit. Raise or keep city. We'll do raise settlement, and then now we can peace out with her. We can propose a peace. We want Waset and Jin Yang, and we can return to her some of the things that she wants. We want to keep Shiraz, but we don't care about the other two. So if we return this and this, will she accept? No, she will not. Well, then maybe we just take Waset and then we burn down the house. I think that we need to just double check real quick if there are any really young cities that have a whole bunch of stuff in them, but I think for the most part we're just going to be taking Waset off of her, burning a couple of her cities down to the ground, and that will be it for her. So let's peace out. Let's take Waset, which will have a wonder here, and propose this. Yes, yes, yes. Send it upon my scribe and he will put my seal upon it. Now go away. True. Big true. And so that will be Vasit for us. Vasit up, which of course does have this, which denies her a lot of strength because this is really good for her because she gets extra yields on that. And so in doing that, we really are going to get to kneecap her. Zabid's going to go away at the end of the age. So is we're keeping Shiraz, so Zabid is the only one that I think gets sacked at the end of the age here. Unfortunately, we couldn't quite get it done here. But before we click to the next stage, what we will do is we will clean up a whole bunch of stuff and also look to spend. We will look to spend it down to 3k gold and also down to, well, we will just ignore the influence, but in theory we would want to spend down. Maybe we spend down a little bit in order to get closer to getting an alliance. This is probably actually okay because you can only take 500 with you. So we will be doing that and then we'll be back. Alright, so now we will click Shift Enter to force end the turn and proceed on to the next age. Notably, we are going to be raising these to the next ground. Let's get this. A little bit of movement here by the enemy. Curious that it looks like we're still occupying that. That's kind of cute. But we will get the passing of the torch and the ending of the turn. Incidentally, did that switch sides from... Did Isabella take that in one turn? Oh man. She did take that. That's going to be good for us because we would rather Isabella have it than Confucius. That way we can go after that. Let's get this ugly head out of the way. Ah, he's back. All right. So we get the full golden age, which is of course going to feel really, really nice. You know, couldn't feel nicer. It's really, I don't know if there's a good way to future tech, future civic. I guess that would be the only way up from here. But we did accomplish the full flawless victory if you don't count multiples. So we will get some progress on Augustus. Nice that we get level 7. Level 7 does have a good unlock, which is going to be good for us. And then coming in, we will transition to the next age and be able to take a look at what we're going to do. This isn't going to be locked in, but we're just going to take a little bit of a look, maybe what we do, and decide from there. We're probably going to try and play someone we haven't played before. I think we're going to go for a cultural victory, and so we're kind of probably going to be somewhere between Mexico and Russia. Mexico is the most on theme, so we will probably go for a Mexico cultural win. Having an advantage in this is going to be really nice. We will just perma celebrate, and we should be able to push through that section of the tree really, really fast in general, because we have quite a few cultural buildings, and so this is going to be good for us. We will also be able to slot a lot of traditions in the government. We don't necessarily have that good a happiness kind of thing going on, which is going to be good for Mexico, but we'll take a look at the transition as we get there. All right, so we have the modern age taking a look in, and you will be able to see, hey, these cities did get sacked that we had taken in terms of what's going on. The city we took here, sacked, down here, sacked, and ooh baby, that's a juicy settle spot. That is really gonna be a nice one. So we might just buy a settler out from Las Palmas. We do carry over 500 Diplo plus the turn worth of Diplo we'd gotten, and 3,000 gold plus the turn worth of gold that we had gotten in, and so this will be good for us here. Let's take a look at some of the legacies and maybe think through it, although we are not committing, and when we continue on, we will check and make sure what we're doing is reasonable. We can gain an infantry unit and range unit in all of our distant land settlements. We had 11 local settlements, and so this is 8 distant land settlements. We're not going for a military victory. In the abstract, I do think this is pretty strong, but we're probably going to go for just production and an expansionist attribute point in terms of spending this. We could get 4 science for every 4 in settlement following our religion. That's not going to be a lot. Culture per relic, not going to be too great. Reduce relationship penalty from breaking alliance by 50%. That's probably not going to be good pushing the needle for us. We're probably going to end up going double cultural Diplo, and that will be it. All of your cities from the previous age remain cities. In addition, cities in distant lands gain 2 population. We are going to do that, but what we would do is, before we do that, we have one thing that was not a city, and that was Shiraz. So we would spend 200 gold to convert Shiraz to a city, and now everything's going to be a city as we enter the age here. So we would do that, and then an economic attribute point here. We still have 1 wild card, and then coming in here, a science per quarter. More than happy to grab that. We'll grab that, and then we would have 1 more point. Probably look to just spend the science attribute point or the expansionist attribute point. Diplo can be good, but I don't think we have enough of it in the tree, so we would do this and then confirm the legacies, and we would get everything as a city coming in here in the modern age. We're almost certainly going to keep our what we rolled last time in terms of mementos, but in terms of mementos, what we have is Lotus Blossom, gain science and culture per 5% of your gold income, and plus production per age for each settlements for each city-state suzerain you have. If we manage to run back the 7 suzerains, this would represent 21 construction. Now, I know that that is spooky, but, you know, the negative treasury is not real. It can't hurt you. We also have a bunch of stuff to spend here. Going for culture for alliance plus culture repeatable. Could maybe go for something else a little bit different, but we would be able to go for this. And then coming in, 5% gold repeatable is probably what we end up going for. Extra food and happiness towards maintaining specialists would be good, considering we have a ton of specialists at this point. And then science would be also what we go for here. probably per assignment, and then here. And then we have 2 wildcard points. Not sure where they would want to go. It probably depends a little bit on how we want to try and win this, but I'm thinking we go for a cultural victory, in which case we might just invest them in percent culture or something like this. And that this will be a pretty good shout for trying to go for the next age here from our Carthage into Spain, now into Mexico. I do believe we have ability to buy gold buildings or build gold buildings pretty early on. Ooh, maybe not. We'll have to figure out exactly how we generate some gold here, considering we lost a whole bunch from what we were getting off of. We were getting like 1,000 because we were getting +7 on each of our gold buildings, which for each city was like 28 or something like that, plus a bunch of percentage modifiers. So maybe we have a little bit of a pain here at the start, or also maybe even we need a memento to help us out with this, and also do some slotting in and fiddling with all this, because this is going to be a lot for us to get through too. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. We did manage to get the full shebang for the exploration age. If you did, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe. You know, do the YouTube algorithm thing. It does help out. Click the notification bell, etc., etc. Mostly etc. And other than that, have a good one.